This broadcast is a Stephen K. Media production.
The success of the small business person is the cornerstone of the American economy. Welcome to the Small Business Today Show with your hosts, Cruz and Hughes. The Small Business Today Show is for and about small business advancement and development. What we do for you. We'll be taking your calls as we provide you small business intelligence and mentorship needed to grow your business creatively. Keep listening. The Small Business Today Show with Cruz and Hughes starts now.
Hello and welcome back to today's episode of Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes right here on Blog Talk Radio, where we broadcast Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action, and we welcome your calls, your comments, your questions. You're even welcome to go into the Blog Talk chat room and put your questions in there, and our producer Stephen K. will make certain that Irv and I address your questions on the air. If you want to give us a phone call, you can always do so at 347-857-3958. Again, that number to our studio is 347-857-3958. Irv, sir.
Yes, sir.
How was your day?
It was good, man.
Tell me all about it.
Contract negotiations, man.
You're still doing that, huh?
Oh, no. Now I'm executing on the contracts that we negotiated.
Is that right?
That's right.
You know, so many people have problems with negotiations.
Yeah, I don't know why that, but you know what? It's just part of the sales process, right?
It is.
It's part of the sales process. It's not something that you should shy away from. It's something that you should be gravitating to because that's the way you get stuff done.
You know, I'm reminded of when my wife was in the process of negotiating for a new position. And I felt so helpless,
right?
You know, because I wanted to just jump in her body.
That's right.
And you know, the only other time I felt that way was when my daughter was playing Little League soccer. You know, and you just want to, you know, you're coaching and you just want to get out of the way and just let me kick the ball.
Let me do it.
Yeah, let me beat up on these other 5-year-olds.
That's exactly right.
But the thing is that I know that we try to teach these lessons, but I don't know. Some people just have a problem accepting that. Yeah,
but you know, again, some people I find, John, they want to call it arrogance, and I call it assertiveness.
Yeah.
You know, you have to go into a negotiation willing to make some assertions about how you want the thing to go, because if you don't, guess what? A really skilled negotiator is just going to take you.
Well, and with that being said, I'm reminded of the first lessons that I learned about negotiations is that you never negotiate haphazardly or off the cuff.
No.
You want to have time to really look at what it is that you want.
Absolutely.
You want to identify all of the things that you absolutely must have. You want to associate a value to those things. Then you got to throw in a few things that would just be icing on the cake.
Sure.
What things that if I get this, life is just all the better.
Right.
But these are the things that I'm also willing to give up.
Exactly. And you better have a good basket of those.
Oh, yeah. And it's done for those purposes.
Sure.
I mean, so you got to have something that
absolutely.
That's why you come in high and then you drop down a little bit.
Exactly right.
You know, but I love negotiating.
Yeah, no, I think it's fun. And quite honestly, I think it's perhaps the most fun part of being in business. And I do say fun because a lot of people got funny ideas about negotiation. Some people try to avoid it. Some people actually try to negotiate out of negotiating, and which is kind of weird to me. Because if you start jockeying for position to get out of a situation where you're going to be required to negotiate, guess what? You're negotiating.
Either way it goes.
That's exactly right.
Now, do you think it's something that is just learned naturally, or do you think it's something that you have to be trained and a skill you have to develop over time?
I do think that we all come here with a degree of that skill already. If you've never had a 2-year-old make demands on you and start negotiating whether or not they're going to get a spanking. So I do know that exists already to some degree.
With that being said, first of all, we all come in, and I'm glad you brought that point up. We all come here as master negotiators.
Absolutely.
And somehow we just lose
Correct.
that skill set over the years. You know, life starts to kind of beat us down. But as you put it, all the things that, Disney would not exist if not for the negotiations of these children.
That is exactly right. Or McDonald's.
McDonald's.
I remember many times negotiating my way into a Happy Meal. I mean, let me tell you what, man. And quite honestly, I got good at it.
Yeah, of course. If I can get a little peace and quiet, I'd gladly throw a Happy Meal at my children.
That's exactly right. And I mean, I figured it out. I figured my dad out, John. I found out that, hey, if I washed the car early on Saturday morning, if I got the grass cut without him asking,
that's right.
The negotiation started before that guy even got up.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
you're working on that business.
I was already working on it,
right.
because, I knew that I needed to get into a Happy Meal before the day was out.
Wow.
And I knew that my negotiation to get it would go a lot smoother if the car was washed.
Wow. And you're absolutely right.
Because then he didn't have to do it. So, I don't know. Just like I talk about on the show, John, ABS, man, always be selling.
Always be selling. Well, speaking of selling, I think today we should talk about starting a sales team.
Ooh, that's good.
Putting together a sales team and some of those rudimentary things that you have to do in order to make certain that you not only put together a winning sales team, but one that's profitable, one that's cohesive and that works together.
Right. I'm reminded, John, I wish, I'm hoping that perhaps some of our listeners will give us a call today because, I'd like to hear from some of our listeners about what they found that really works in their sales teams. What kinds of management strategies or concepts that they've put in place to really rev up their sales team. Because there's something I call group dynamics that's working in that sales opportunity, those sales environments, I should say, where those teams learn to work together. And so many times you go into sales teams, and you've seen this, John, I know, where you've got a sales team of 10 people or so, but it's actually like 10 silos. It's like 10 individual sales groups, if you will, but they're not working together toward a particular common goal.
Every man is an island.
Yeah. And
you don't like that setup, evidently.
Well, no, I don't think that's a team.
Okay.
I don't think that's a team. I think if everybody, because I'm a football fan, that.
No doubt.
And so, while everybody on the football team may have an assignment that works a little bit differently on every play, the end result of it, though, is a touchdown. That's the goal of the play.
Everybody's working towards that goal.
Exactly. But in some sales scenarios, some sales environments, that doesn't seem to happen. It's really strange to me.
Well, let's talk a little. We'll throw that around a little bit today because, and I think that sort of goes along with, I think that there are three things involved in selling, and we'll get into this a little later in the show, but I think that what you're discussing sort of lends itself to the culture of the team. And if you want that culture to be every man is on his own and has to meet his goals, then I guess that's the way that you would set it up.
Sure.
But if you want everyone to work in tandem with the next person, then there's some things that have to exist as it relates to your culture, so that that is the mindset there.
And I love the word you're using there, culture, because I really believe that really is the driver for whether or not that sales organization works well together. Whether they start to like each other. They don't have to, a lot of times you're in a sales situation and hey, you may not know the people that are your colleagues on the sales team. And you may not even agree with their philosophies and their lives or lifestyles or whatever. You can always find some reason to be divisive in an organization.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But where I think everybody's got to agree is we think we've got a great opportunity to make some money and generate some revenue and do some good in our business community and be great corporate citizens and all those things that come along with being a great sales organization. And I just think people ought to share that, but oftentimes that doesn't happen.
Well, guys, if you want to give us a phone call, you're more than welcome to do so. You can reach us right here in the studio at 347-857-3958. The number here again is 347-857-3958. What works in your sales team? What type of sales culture do you have in your organization? And Irv and I are going to talk a little bit today about what's worked for us and some of the things that we feel are necessary in order to build a winning sales team.
Absolutely.
The first thing I have to say, I'd say let's start with what most people would refer to, Irv, as the sales manager.
Okay.
You got to have a great sales manager.
That's right.
In the sales room. And I don't like the term manager.
I don't either.
Because I'm one who believes that true salespeople really don't need to be managed.
No, they don't.
You know, they don't need to be pushed and prodded
right.
into sales.
Right.
They need to be led.
That's right.
And if I'm leading you, I'm not dragging you.
Right.
You know,
That's right.
You're following me.
That's
and
right.
so the thing is, I'd say it starts with a sales manager. And even if you are the head of your organization and you feel that you do not have the sales skills necessary to lead a sales team or to create a sales-driven organization or a high sales culture, I think that you have to find someone
right.
who has those skills. And if I were to say some of the things that I think are necessary that this person must have, Irv, I'd say the first thing that this person has to be is a doer, which means
no doubt.
that person leads by example.
No doubt.
I've worked for people who have been sales managers, if you will,
right.
that really did not know the selling process.
Right.
Could not close, a door with a strong wind behind it.
Oh.
And I just do not think that works when you have someone leading your team.
Let me tell you what, John, that's a tough life to live when you're under the command of somebody like that. That is a tough life, man, because, ultimately, John, what happens is I found that when I've been in sales organizations like that, I find myself where I feel like I'm on a suicide mission.
Yeah.
I'm following somebody who is on a suicide mission. I'm not going to win. They're not going to win because they don't care to win.
Right.
And I do. And so that automatically makes us, opposed. I mean, that's a tough go.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk a little bit more about some of these characteristics that we believe that your sales promoter or person who is leading your sales team should have. So stick around. There'll be more with Irv and John here in just a moment. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes, which is brought to you by the Small Business Today magazine. It is a magazine that is free to entrepreneurs. All you have to do is go to smallbusinesstodaymagazine.com, put in your information. We'll send you the magazine that is for and about entrepreneurs. More in a moment with Cruz and Hughes.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is?
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan,
The storm coming.
the legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham Reckoning. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruiseandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Irv and I are talking about starting a sales team today. The things that you should consider when you're putting together a sales-driven organization. And first of all, let me say this. Every organization is dependent upon sales. Am I right or am I right?
You're absolutely right.
So what are you doing in your organization to encourage and promote sales? If you get most of your business by word of mouth, then you should be listening to this.
That's right.
If you get most of your business through your internet website or through anything other than your sales team, we want you to at least think about putting together a sales team, an organization where you hire some people and split the profits with them for them to go out and increase sales and promote your business. That's what this is about.
Absolutely, John. I couldn't agree with you more. And, a lot of people have told me, and which is in error, by the way, that they don't want to have salespeople because they generate sales on their own through some other means. And I don't think, and you might disagree with me, but I just don't think that's a right way to think about sales.
Mm-hmm.
I think you ought to have sales coming in from all kinds of places.
I totally agree.
I think you ought to have a sales team. If you've got a great web presence and that's bringing you sales, that's wonderful. But I don't think you replace your sales team with whatever sales you have coming over the web. I think you ought to augment that.
Absolutely.
I think if you have sales that are coming in from an indirect channel, perhaps like distributors or something like that, I still think you need to have salespeople even to support the distributors.
Well, I think that if you look at your business as though it's a table supported by 2 legs is unstable.
Right. That's right.
A table that's supported by 8 legs is probably going to be hard to topple.
And if you knock over one leg or one leg breaks, does it still stand?
It's still standing.
Absolutely.
And so, and when I look at a business, I want to have that word of mouth.
Sure.
I want to have those web leads.
Sure.
I want to get leads from the people that I do business with.
Absolutely.
My distributors and such.
You want all of that.
But I do want a sales team.
Right.
I want people that are completely and entirely focused on promoting my brand and our products on a day-to-day basis.
Correct.
And I think that's just, all of those things are necessary to survive, especially in this environment right now.
Right. And not only that, but I find that some business owners are concerned about how the salespeople are going to represent them out in the marketplace. And folks, look, there is going to be a degree of misrepresentation in just about everything you do in business. If you can't handle that, business is probably not the thing for you, because inherently somebody is going to misrepresent something. It could be as simple as wording on a label, and then you got somebody making some sort of claim that doesn't quite jive with whatever it is you're doing or selling. That shouldn't be something that keeps you from building a sales team.
It should not.
It's part of the deal.
Irv, when we decided to hire salespeople in 2000, we hired it was almost 130 salespeople, and we put them out on the streets. And for me, there was no better feeling than when I met with some random person in my business, and I showed them my business card, and they would tell me, you know what, I was just talking to some guy the other day about this.
Isn't that the coolest
And then they
thing?
would pull out a business card of someone who was on my team. To me, there's just no better feeling than that. And imagine if you could have, and you may not have the capacity to have 100 salespeople, but you may have the capacity to have 3.
That's correct.
And imagine how what it meant to our business when we had 100 people out there on a weekly basis blanketing the city with business cards and promotional products and talking about what it is that we did. And so some people would come to our company and say things like, I met some guy who worked for your company. I don't remember his name. I saw some advertising that you guys did, and I just felt that, I should give you a shot at my business.
Right.
And so it's partly both of those things that are working
Sure.
hand in hand, as you were talking about.
You know what, John? You just what you talking about that you're reminding me of one of the sweetest moments that I ever had in my sales organization. I was at a seminar, and I was doing a seminar, right? And at the end of the seminar, one of the people in the crowd came up. They walked up to me, and they said, "Hey, you did a great seminar. Really enjoyed it," and said some nice things. Mm-hmm. And said, "But I was already familiar with your company. I actually met one of your salespeople, about a month or so ago." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Oh, really? Who was it?" And he gave me the name and so on. And I said, "Well, what can I do for you?" He said, "Nothing." He said, "I don't want to talk to you." He said, "Because you have a great sales guy that
works.
With."
Now that's what I like.
And literally, a lot of people who were standing around go, "Oh my goodness, he didn't want to talk to you." And I'm like, that is music to my ears.
Yes, it is. As a manager or owner.
He said, "I don't want to talk to you." He wasn't saying, "I don't want to deal with your company."
Yeah.
He was just saying, "I've been taken care of.
Yeah, your people have got me. They got me where I need to be."
Yeah, I don't need to talk to you. I don't have a problem. Hey, man, you got an excellent sales guy out there, and I just wanted to meet you."
Wow.
And beyond that, he went his way. And I remember it because it was so sweet to me that our salespeople took pride in what they were doing and had trust in our brand, trust in our way of doing business, to the point that they literally were taking care of customers at that level.
Yeah.
And really that drove business for us, John.
Yes, it is. And I'm going to tell you something. When you mention a word like brand, that becomes a part of your brand. And these people out there pushing your product, your service, your company name, they become your brand, and they are responsible for getting the word out. And I'm telling you, it feels very good when you're able to go somewhere and somebody knows about your company.
Right.
And you didn't have to talk to that person. You didn't have to meet them. You didn't have to massage that relationship. That's what a good sales team can do for you. Now, getting back to having a great sales promoter or sales manager, we don't like the term manager, but that person has to be someone who is a doer. They lead by example. But Irv, as I think about who and what a good manager or promoter should be, they should be someone who encourages that team to do better, encourages the team to do more.
Right.
And really, like we mentioned the other day, I think you were out of here. I don't know, maybe you were here that day, but we were talking about the shepherd and the sheep.
Right.
And, And the sales promoter or the manager is he's really the shepherd.
He really is.
And he's the servant.
He's the
sales team.
That's right.
What they need most, he's got to help them get. If it's training, if it's education,
that's right.
If it's helping them to develop a better system or process, that's who that person has to be. And if that's not you as the entrepreneur or the owner of the company, you have to find someone that can fill those shoes.
I'm reminded early in my sales career, and I do say early. It was very early. I was in my early 20s, so yes, that was a long time ago. But I had a sales manager, and he was just fantastic because he could tell. He says, "Irv, you got to be one of the hardest working salespeople I have ever met, but you have no idea what you're doing." And he says, "You know what? I'm going to invest in you." Now, you got to think about this is 20, 30 years ago.
Okay.
This guy spent $3,000 to send me to a formal sales training so that I could learn about sales.
Wow.
And, he didn't take it out of my commissions. It wasn't a draw. It wasn't anything like that.
Right.
And it was really amazing to me because I had never really had anyone to literally invest money in my sales career. But somehow or another, he was impressed by my effort, even though I was a horrible, horrible failure at it.
Yeah.
But he could see that I was sincere. He could see that I wanted to win. And so he invested in it. And, you know, and I look back to that guy because literally, John, he gave me a sales career.
Well, you know, and I think someone had to invest in both of us,
sure,
for us to get to where we are now.
No doubt.
And I think that's a testament to our listeners. You have to invest in your people, especially the ones that you know or that you see something in. And it brings us to our next point, which is hiring the right people. You know, the first mistake that I see many sales organizations make is that they accept everybody.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons why I somewhat have a problem with network marketing organizations.
Yep.
Because you can't take everybody.
No, you can't.
And although I am also a person, and I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself, everyone has value.
Sure they do.
And but as it relates to your organization, you have to understand and quantify what does it cost you to get a salesperson in your organization, to get them ramped up, trained, and profitable to the company standards. What is that investment that has to be made? And once you look at what that is, you can't accept everyone.
No, you really can't. And quite frankly, do you want to? And
some people do.
Some people do, but does that work?
No, it does not work.
And see, here's the thing. I know it doesn't work because I've tried it on several occasions in several different businesses, and all those models, all those sales models, never, even though we had some degrees of success, don't get me wrong, but they never reached the potential that they could have.
Yeah.
And it was always a myriad of different things that caused a shortfall.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people had great sales skills, but boy, they were really dark people.
I almost said collectors. But I don't want to turn off any of our collectors who may be listening. But
but you know what I mean. I mean, they were just dark. You know, it's like everything was negative and nothing was positive, and they were always a victim. It was always something.
Yeah, you got to get that out of there.
Yeah, and you just can't have that in your organization, folks. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Sales Nexus, folks. If you need a great customer relationship management system, let me recommend Sales Nexus for you. You can get a free trial, 30-day trial, by going to salesnexus.com and downloading your free trial. Try it today. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising and promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disastrous, politics,
perfect stock market.
And this alternative is
Coffee News. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
free.
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for Coffee News. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's Coffee News.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan,
The storm's coming.
the legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham's Reckoning. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Irv and I are talking about building and starting a sales team. It's imperative for your organization that you get a sales get a sales team working in your organization every single day that are focused on creating sales for you. Now, we're up to the point where we're talking about hiring the right people.
Right.
Now, the right person, in my mind, Irv, is someone who's ambitious,
Yes.
self-motivated,
Yes.
high energy,
Yes.
honest,
Yes.
and trainable.
Especially honest and trainable.
So when you're looking for people, they have to meet that criteria.
That's correct.
And I know how it is sometimes, and I fall victim to this. You need someone so bad
Right.
that they
right.
may not have one of those qualities,
Right.
and you bring them on anyway. I'm still guilty of this. I've done it. But you want to shy away from it.
And you know what? What gets you into it, John? You think you can fix it.
Yes, you do.
You really,
or you think it's so small
that it's it won't be an issue.
And it comes back to haunt you every time.
It comes back 100% of the time to bite you.
Ambitious, self-motivated, high energy,
Right.
honest, and
Right.
trainable.
Right.
Those are those 5 criteria that they have to have. At least all of the people that have ever achieved the level of top salesperson in my organization
Right.
possessed all 5.
Now, I got to ask you a big question because you and I both have owned and operated businesses and had large sales organizations, certainly yours larger than mine. But did you find it better to hire people who had a lot of sales experience in your industry, or was it better for you to hire people with little or no experience and grow them up to learn your way? Which one did you find to be the best way, or did you find one to be the best way?
Well, let me say this. Out of all of the studies that we would do on our own team,
Right.
20% of the sales force always did roughly 80% of the work. So
That's true.
That is a true
Now, I don't know why
ratio.
that is.
I don't know.
I don't know why that
I'm gonna
is.
tell you, when I learned that ratio,
Yes.
it was in I don't know, maybe 1995, 1996 or 7, but it always interested me, and I said, if I ever get me a salesperson,
Right.
or 2, I'm going to see if that number really works.
Yeah.
Well, once we got over 100 salespeople,
Sure.
I'm telling you, 20 to 25 people constantly carried 80% of the production.
That is absolutely true.
That we did. Now, to get back to your question, out of those 20 to 25 people,
Sure.
they were always the individuals with the least amount of industry experience.
That is amazing.
So the people who had the most, people who were had been in the business 10 years or more,
Right.
always were somewhere in the middle of the
Right.
organization.
Right.
They were never at the top.
Never the greatest.
Never the greatest.
Never the worst.
Never the worst.
Right.
But they were also the most costly to manage.
That's
because
right.
they always had an issue. They always had a problem. They
Right.
always needed something. It was
Right.
it was all, and it wasn't this way when I was at Bank of America. We didn't do it like this when I was at Wells Fargo.
Right.
And the thing I would have to constantly remind them is that if it were so great at Bank of America, you would still be there.
That's
You
right.
would not be here.
And then what does that have to do with where you are now?
Nothing.
Nothing.
But so to me, I'm always I like people with some experience, but not so much so that it becomes a crutch
Sure.
to you.
Sure.
And so someone with a couple years experience, great person for me because
Yeah.
I could take them with that
Right.
small foundation that you
Right.
have. We could build a mansion on top of it.
Well, you know what? I have to agree with you, John. And I just wanted to ask that question because I found that in two instances, two of my holdings, I brought on very experienced, very seasoned salespeople. And we just never got there.
No.
We never hit our numbers. Now, did we have some success? Of course we did. But we never hit the numbers we set. And conversely, I decided, and then all the trouble that you mentioned that comes along with those folks.
Baggage.
Yeah, it's just baggage.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. So I got rid of those folks, and I went on a campaign to just bring on people who had some of those things that you mentioned earlier,
Right.
but not industry sales experience. Now, sales experience, but not necessarily in our industry, and maybe a
Good point. Absolutely.
and maybe a little bit of just wanting to try their hand in sales. I even took some of those folks.
Yeah, I did as
didn't,
well.
Didn't have a sales background, but they thought they wanted to.
Right.
And let me tell you what, we set records with those folks.
Absolutely.
It was amazing. And they were enthusiastic. And they were, you know, you didn't have to find them.
That's right.
And if you did find them, you found them, you know, even if they were doing something wrong, they were doing it to the best of their ability.
Absolutely.
You know?
With a smile on their face.
Yeah, they'd
Yeah.
be doing it wrong, but, you know, and then when you corrected them, they wasn't mad about it.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, thank you for that. You know, I could have, you know, I should have done this and that, and, you know, and they're in it with you."
Absolutely.
And I just found that I had so much more success with newer people, and I think that 0 to 24 month guy, that's the guy, man.
With that being said, I mean, you know, to our listeners, they may want to consider, if you're looking to bring somebody on, having someone who has a lot of experience. I'm not going to ever say that you don't hire that person, but I'm Irv and I are just speaking from our experience.
Sure.
And my experience is that the best people in my organization have always been the people with that moderate level
That's
of
right.
experience.
That's
you know,
right.
they've worked one, maybe two places.
Right.
They don't know a whole lot about the business,
Right.
but they know enough that they, like I say, they have a good enough foundation for us to build on.
Right.
They're still very enthusiastic.
Right.
And then the best part of all, they're trainable. You know, there's nothing that would chap my hide more than we're going through training, and I have to continue to hear how we did it at some other place.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
No, well, you know that person's not listening.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
waiting
what
on
they
their,
really mean.
That's right. They're waiting on their turn to tell the room, you know, this is how we did it over at this place. And I'm going to get off of that point because I might save that for tomorrow.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, save it for
Tomorrow's Friday. All right, let's talk about this. Now, I talked to a young lady the other day, and I'm helping her. I'm coaching her on putting together a sales organization. And one of the things that she says to me is, well, John, you know, I really don't want, you know, sales has sort of got a negative connotation to it. It's become a dirty word. And the people that I'm bringing in, I don't know if I really want to call them salespeople. And so she's going on this diatribe about this, and I have to cut her off. And my point is, and I want to know what you think about it, and I want your honest opinion, but my belief is this: if the salesperson in my organization does not accept and understand that they are a salesperson, then I don't want them. I'm not going to sugarcoat. You're not a buyer's assistant. You're not all these other fancy words that people have come up with to sort of mask over what a salesperson is and does. You are a salesperson. And the bottom line here is performance.
Right.
And that's every person in the organization, from the president to the janitor, should be based and qualified and judged on their performance, especially my sales team.
That's right.
So why would you want someone who believes, or their mindset is that sales is a dirty word?
You know what? Okay. Salespeople are professionals. And if they're not professionals, they should be. And they should be treated like professionals, which means that if you have a problem being called a salesperson, or have a problem with being a sales representative, or have a problem with having sales as part of your title, it just doesn't. You could be a sales consultant. That's okay. here's my point. Sales is a profession. It's just like if you were a doctor or an attorney or I don't know, a plumber or an electrician. You happen to be a salesperson, and I think you should be all right with that. And quite frankly, until the management and ownership and the sales team gets comfortable with the fact that you are a sales professional, period. You see, I had issues with this. That was one of the sticking points for me, John, because I had people early in my career would ask me crazy stuff like, did you make a sale today? well, that's not even how it works.
Yeah.
You know, we were not in a highly transactional, order-taking kind of an environment.
Right. This isn't a McDonald's.
No.
Yeah.
So you know, and I literally had a sales trainer who saved my life, literally, by saying to me, he looks at me, takes one look at me, and he says, I know what's wrong with you. And I said, what do you mean? He says, you're ashamed to be a salesperson. And I said, no, I'm not ashamed. He said, oh, yeah, you are. Somebody around you said, hey, get a real job.
Yeah.
And I said, well, yeah, I've heard that. He said, yeah. He says, now you might feel like consciously that's not bothering you. He said, but until you embrace the fact that you are a salesperson,
right,
and that is your profession, that is what you do, and that is, and you approach it just like any other profession, you're going to have trouble.
You know, you're not going to pick up the Wall Street Journal and read an article with the headline, 2,000 salespeople were just laid off today.
No, you're not going
to read that. You're not going to see that anywhere. So the thing is, this economy that we live in, this country that we live in, is a performance-driven organization.
That's correct.
It's built on sales. If you become a clerk behind the counter at McDonald's, they're going to train you to become a salesperson. And you had better say, do you want fries with that? No matter what, if that person orders a latte, if they order a salad, you have to say that. And they expect and anticipate that you're going to close a certain amount of the customers that you see. You are a salesperson. Develop that culture. Winning is everything. Winning is the only thing.
That's correct. You know, and it's to what you're saying, John, I've had so much fun in McDonald's because I've literally gone there, folks, and ordered fries, and inherently they say, would you like fries with that?
Now that's a salesperson after my own heart.
That's a salesperson for you, isn't it? Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Ring Central. To get Ring Central's virtual PBX for your business, you can call them today at 888-716-5022. Back in a moment, right after this.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
Nolan.
The storm coming.
The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham's Reckoning. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruzandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Welcome back to the show. Irv and I are talking about starting a sales team, building a sales organization. Now, where we are right now is those 3 things. And Irv, I'm going to run these by you.
Go ahead.
Tell me what you think. In my opinion, I think sales come down to, or building a sales team should come down to 3 things. Mindset.
Yes.
Environment.
Yes.
And culture.
Absolutely.
You have to have those things working in the right capacities for your sales team to really gain some traction and start selling, start producing, and become profitable. Now, when we talk about mindset, I'm thinking that begins with management.
No doubt.
And management has to encourage and promote success on a daily basis.
That's correct.
Mindset also means you have to invest in your people.
Right.
So how they think is equal to how they perform.
That's right.
What they're reading, how you're training them.
That's right.
So mindset is everything.
Well, you know, John, I call that building the person. You've got to build that person. If a person is you thought enough of that person to have them as a part of your sales organization, then you ought to think enough about them to want to build the person. Now, I'm not talking about the salesperson necessarily, but if that person is struggling with something, for example, then you want to make sure that you are investing in that relationship such that you can reach that person, and that person can believe that you do have their best interest in mind.
Right.
And so, and that's a mindset. That's a mindset. I mean, you know, they've got to know, you've got to be able to have enough invested in that person that if and when the benefit of the doubt, any doubt comes up, you get the benefit of it because you've invested in them.
Absolutely, and that mindset will take your salespeople to new heights. Now, as it relates to mindset, I also want to talk about sales goals.
Sure,
because there are a lot of organizations that believe in defining what those goals are, and you know me, I'm against that.
Yep.
I disagree with setting goals for your sales team. Right. Now, I know that probably goes against every organization that you've ever worked in as a salesperson, but I don't like setting those goals, or at least I believe that management or the organization should not be setting those goals. Who should be setting those goals is the salesperson.
Absolutely. And let me tell you what, now, I've been in both kinds of organizations, and I've run both kinds of organizations. And what I mean by, now we're getting back to what I meant by a team, a group. For example, one of the things that I would do and still do is I would literally interview my sales team about what their goals and objectives were. And I needed to know those numbers. I need to hear those numbers from them, not me give it to them. And then what I can now do is we put a plan together to make sure that they can get to those numbers where they will be happy, where that's a number they gave us, not the other way around. And then as a collective, we roll those numbers up and see how far away from the company's objectives are we once we collectively put all those numbers in.
I agree.
Now, that's how we went about it.
Okay.
And here's the thing. Almost always, and I'm talking 8 out of 10 times, John, the group's numbers were higher than ours when we put them all together. Now, I got to be honest, I never told them.
Really?
No, I wouldn't tell them. I would never tell them that their goals together exceeded the plan, the sales revenue numbers that we had outlined for ourselves as a company.
And that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. In your screening, as you're screening your employees or screening these salespeople to come and work for your organization, one of the things that I used to do is I would give them a goal sheet. And I wanted to know basically what it comes down to is your why to.
That's right.
And there's a gentleman by the name of James E. Tollison who talks about why to. And James E. Tollison talked about this in the 70s, late 60s and 70s, before the word entrepreneur even got popular. And he talked about having a big enough why to that a person is always going to achieve right at or just slightly above their why to.
That's right.
So my thing, why to is this. We've all been young. Remember when you were young and you got a ticket and that ticket may have turned into a warrant?
Let me see. Yeah.
I mean, some of us have to think a little longer than others. But the thing is, remember, you probably didn't have a job. You probably didn't know how you were going to come up with the $300 or $400 that was necessary. But you knew that if you didn't come up with it, the alternative was something that you couldn't live with. So what did you do?
That's right.
You came up with it.
Because
you had a big enough why to.
Right.
So my thing is when I would screen my salespeople, I wanted to know what their why to was.
Sure.
Okay, if you tell me, well, I'm going to ask you, well, how much money do you absolutely have to make as a salesperson? What are you looking for?
Right.
Well, I need to make $100,000. Really? Why?
That's right.
Because if your why doesn't equal the amount of money,
That's
then
right.
I know that you're just whistling Dixie.
Yeah.
That why to has to be big enough.
Right.
So now, let's say that same person would say, Irv, well, I need to make at least $1,500 a month. Well, in my mind, as the head of this organization, I already know what I want you to earn as a salesperson before I'm going to invest in your training, your education, and your development.
That's right.
And $1,500 ain't a big enough why.
It's not big enough.
So I'm not going to, you're not going to get a call back from us.
That's right.
So just like you, I'm not going to tell you where we are as an organization.
Exactly.
I want to hear where you are because you're not going to meet my goals if they're not congruent with your goals.
That's right.
And you're not going to meet your goals unless you have attached a big enough why to that goal. Now you tell me, well, I got 2 daughters in college, I got a wife who doesn't work, and we all get hungry.
That's right.
Now I'm interested.
That's right.
So I know that you do need to make $100,000. You might be someone that we would consider developing and investing in.
That's correct.
What are your thoughts?
I love that. and let me tell you what, you're more comfortable making that investment knowing what that person has at stake. See, to me, that means that guy's got skin in the game.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. See, if somebody says $1,500 will cover me, well, hang on. You could do that in retail.
Right.
Not even management.
Right.
You could just be floor personnel and do fine with that.
Absolutely.
You could be moving boxes and displays and stuff and make that.
But it's too costly to bring that type of person into our organization.
Oh, absolutely, because it costs 4 or 5 times that to develop that person.
That's right.
And so no, it's not a good return on your investment.
So give that some thought. When you're getting ready to hire this team, figure out where your people are because they're going to achieve to meet their goals and they're going to achieve to their why. And if their why is too small for your organization, then you might want to consider passing over that person. And Irv, I have to admit, whenever I went against my own advice, it always cost me. We would spend time.
John, you never did that.
Oh, I would do it all the time.
You never did. You never went against your own advice.
I do it all the time.
Oh, you never
I'm always looking for an opportunity to prove myself wrong.
Yeah. Well, I've lost every time I
have also
lost.
And the bottom line is that you lose money when you do that.
Well, no doubt. And let me tell you what else, man. What's really painful is when you knew it was going to end badly, you did it anyway, and it ended badly.
Yeah. And you're who are you going to blame?
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But consider that. You got to have a big enough why. Think about that.
You got to think about that, folks. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by GrowSocial.com. You can maximize social media like Facebook and Twitter for your business. Call Grow Social today at 877-484-3961. Folks, stay with us. The education continues. We're in the home stretch, so don't go away now. We'll be right back.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan.
The storm's coming.
The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham Circuit. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Irv and I have been talking about starting a sales team, starting a sales-driven organization, and accepting the fact that you yourself are in business to make sales. Even if you are in the nonprofit business, you have to close a sale, and that sale would be encouraging someone to become a benefactor and get behind what it is that your organization is doing and donate money. That is selling. Now, Irv, we talked about 3 things. We talked about mindset, environment, and culture. Right. We only have a couple minutes.
Okay.
As it relates to environment, my thought process is that you have to have an environment that's conducive for selling. And as you opened up in the beginning of the show,
sure.
Having your people in those standalone stations may not be the best thing.
That's
so
correct.
You want to look at your environment and make sure that you have an environment that's conducive for
Absolutely. You got to have an environment that's set up. One of the things I did in my organization is I had realized that my salespeople were uncomfortable because we did a lot of phone work because we were in finance, right?
Right.
I invested in chairs. Really big, comfy chairs, and it was one of the best investments I ever made because you know what? They would sit there and stay on the phones.
It makes sense. My cousin, she works for a investment house in New York City.
Sure.
And if you look at the chairs that these guys sit in, because they're sitting there for hours on hours upon end, they probably invest $800-900 or $1,000 in each chair.
Exactly
because these people are sitting there and you want them to be comfortable.
That's right.
So that makes sense.
That's right.
That's keeping your environment conducive for sales.
That's what I mean.
Then lastly, then there's culture.
Yes.
Your overall culture has to be of a sales mentality, which means that you can't have an outfit where production does not like process.
That's right.
Or my sales team is always feuding with my underwriting team.
Right.
You want to have that culture where everybody gets on board and understands that we are a sales organization and we all play our part in that process.
Absolutely. No doubt. Couldn't agree more. John enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as well. So we're going to come up with something really good for him again on tomorrow.
That's right. Well, tomorrow's Soapbox Friday.
Oh, and I'm going to get something ready for you.
All right.
Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. I'm John Cruz.
I'm Irv Hughes.
And this is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. So until tomorrow, be smart, be successful, and above all else,
be in action.
Irv and I will see you tomorrow.
Take care.